Hello, it's Wednesday, which means book study day. I'm so excited. I love books. I love book studies. I join them whenever I can. And I love that it's gotten me to start reading again because I kind of gave that up once I had kids. I just started putting that aside because I just didn't have the time. And I love that recently I've been able to get back into books, and not just like for enjoyment, but for like personal growth and personal development. So really excited about this. Chapter 2 is where we're starting today. We have the other two. We had the introduction in chapter 1. Now we're on to chapter 2. So this is just an introduction to all of the habits that she talks about in the rest of the book. So I have 4 pages of notes here, which seems like a lot, but it's really not that many. So starting off in chapter 2, I have titled this Morning Habits for Success because she talks about 5 habits that are what you have to do, what you have to incorporate into your routine each day to set yourself up for success. So I love that in the beginning it starts out with this quote, and it says, motivation is what gets you started and habit is what keeps you going. And this whole book is centered on building those habits and how to build those habits and what habits to start building to set yourself up for success. So you're not clinging to those things that you currently are doing that are not setting you up for success. I was in a book study actually on Monday, and they were talking about building habits and motivation and all of that. And somebody had said that your motivation will eventually stop. And so you have to find something else that will be your driving force once your motivation fades away, because it's not going to last forever. So this book is really your foundational basis for setting up yourself for success. So I put this question in here. What does our current routine say about our lifestyle or our success? And these are some different questions or promptings or things that she alludes to in this chapter. And I kind of hate this chapter. I love it so much, but I also hate it for 2 reasons. 1, because she focuses on people who are early risers, which is not me. I'm not an early riser, but with a toddler who wakes up about 3 times a night and a very chaotic bedtime routine, I feel like I have a pretty good excuse as to not being an early riser because I don't get much sleep throughout the night. So those little pockets of time that I do get sleep are not restful because they're constantly interrupted. But then 2, being a stay-at-home mom, I juggle a lot of different hats every single day. Working a business, being a mom, doing homeschooling, helping Nathan with his stuff. There's a lot going on. And my kids' attitudes, their sleep schedules, their health, all of that plays into when I can get my things done and how quickly they do get done. So that's why I hate this chapter, because it kind of picks at me and I'm not an early riser. I don't have a dedicated routine because I feel like there's a lot of things that play into when I can get things done, and they're not always predictable. So I have to just go with the flow, and I'm okay with that because, as I said before, this is just a season and I'm going to take it as it is. But my morning routine, she says this quote, or she alludes to it, is having a morning routine is the key to success. And I will say that my morning routine is very predictable in the sense that when I do get up, I have the same routine. I get up, I work out, I have my protein shake, I get the kids breakfast, and then make the coffee and sit down. And then once the kids are finished with breakfast, we start school, and then we move on for the rest of our day. So that part, I feel like that first hour of my day is very predictable, where the rest of the days or the rest of the day is not very predictable. So I just have 2 points today. The first one, own your mornings. We have the most control over our day in the mornings because people and distractions aren't pulling for our time. And so she is talking about owning your morning. So she's talking about, why is it important to get up? Why is it important to set yourself up for success right away? And these are the reasons why. Because you don't have distractions. Your day hasn't started. You're not getting work calls. You don't have other things you have to go and do because it's early. People are still waking up. People are still getting into work. You don't have all of those pressures around you waiting for you to get to them. So you have all of that time you need in the morning to do the things that you have to do. Waking up or getting up in the mornings allows us to be proactive about our day, not reactive. And this is what she says on page 26. It allows us to take care of ourselves first, and once we can invest time in ourselves, we are prepared to invest in those around us. It's like the principle of like, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you don't get up in the morning and take care of yourself and like build yourself up and start your day off right and get off on the right foot, then you're not going to be able to take care of those around you. So she says to set a goal just to wake up 30 minutes earlier each day and prioritize your personal development. And then the author quotes Jon Acuff saying, if your dream isn't worth 30 minutes, you've either got the wrong dream or you're just pretending you have one. So I think that's kind of steps on your toes. Like, if you can't allow 30 minutes of your time to build your dream or build a routine that will set you up for success, then you're probably not headed in the direction you want to go. Or you're going to say, oh, I am headed in the direction, but it's not worth 30 minutes. Well, it should be. If something you have is so important to you, it's worth 30 minutes. I mean, any of us can find 30 minutes in our day to exercise, 30 minutes to, pray, or 30 minutes to read our Bible, or whatever it is. We can find those 30 minutes, even if it means we give up something else or cut back on something else. We can find that time if we prioritize it. And then again, with my love-hate relationship, I tried this for a week. So the 30-minute thing, I'm like, okay, you know what? The author's right. Like, I have to make this a priority. So I decided, like, okay, I usually get up at like 8:30. I'm going to set my clock, and I'm going to get up as soon as Ezra wakes up at 7, right before he goes back to sleep. I'm going to put him down when he's asleep, get up at 7:30. And so I tried that. I'd get up at like 7:30, whether Ezra was awake or not. I'd get up 7:30, go out there to work out, and without fail, every single day that week, one of my 3 children came out 2 hours earlier than they typically get up. For no reason. They just got up, they came out, and then they wanted to start their day. They wanted breakfast, they wanted to talk, they wanted to figure out where everyone else was. And so my time was allotted to that. Like, I couldn't set myself up for success because I had all these distractions. So I specifically said, okay, my kids get up at 9, 9:30, 10 some days. That's fine. I'm going to get up at 7:30 and I'll have all this time. And I didn't. None of those days. So I just threw in the towel and I was like, you know what? My stage of life right now, I can't dedicate this time because my kids are going to follow me. They're going to know that I'm taking time for myself, and they're going to come and they're going to need me at whatever time that is. Whether I stay up late or I wake up early, they're just going to need me. So anyway, I felt like that was like, I'm going to do it. And then it just wasn't for me. I'm going to have to just put that into my routine sometime later in the day. She has this quote on page 27, and it says, each morning we have the opportunity to get up and invest in our future. And she was giving the illustration, I guess Zig Ziglar, who's, if you don't know who he is, he's like a big time motivational speaker, a leadership speaker. But he said that we use the word alarm clock, which gives a negative connotation to what we're doing. If we set an alarm, like if you hear an alarm go off, it's like, oh no, I have to go, or something's wrong, I have to get it, whatever. And he says to use the word opportunity clock instead, because then we're looking at the positive. If we say alarm, then it's like, oh, I have to do this, I have to go right now. But if we say opportunity, then it's like, oh, I get to go do this. Look what I get to do this morning. Oh, I get to wake up and I get to start my routine. And it just shifts your mindset, so you're not focusing on the negative. You're focusing on all the positive things. And then on page 28, it says, if you really want to learn from someone's success, you need to learn how they got there. Not just seeing their success, because a lot of times we stop and see the success of people, and we think, wow, it'd be so nice to be where they are. It gives like Oprah Winfrey. It gives like a bunch of singers and actors, Mark Cuban, Shark Tank investors. It talks about all those people. But we see their success, but we don't see how they got there. And so this book is laying the foundation of how do we get where they are. And I just thought that was really neat that she says, like, we need to know how they got there. We don't need to see them there. We have to know how they got there. And that's what we have to focus on. So 2 parts of this. Learn to continue. Don't just stop when things get tough. Learn to continue on. And then learn to create positive habits. And then page 30, she says, positive habits are the foundation for your success or failure. And she says that a lot throughout this book, and I feel like that's such like a good theme, is just focusing on those habits and making it part of your lifestyle. It's not what you do once in a while that causes you to live an exceptional life. It's what you do consistently. So one day, 1 week, 1 month of doing things that are setting you in the right direction, like working out, okay? That's an easy thing to put out there because it's something we all struggle with to do daily. It's not just doing it once in a while, it's doing it consistently. You might not see the results right away, but the more you continue doing it, the more you're going to see the results in the future. So our second point, 5 foundational habits. So these are where she breaks down the 5 things, and she'll, throughout the book, there's 5 chapters that are dedicated to each one of these. So this is just touching the surface of it, and then throughout the next couple of weeks, we'll go a deeper dive into them. But the first one, she says, is to pray and meditate. And this is a biblical principle, and whether you're a Christian, you believe in the Bible, any of that, even people who aren't Christians and are big time, like famous people who are investors, all of that, people we would like allude to like being successful, like Oprah Winfrey. I wouldn't say that she's necessarily a religious person. They all do this. They meditate, or they maybe don't pray, but they say affirmations to themselves. It says prayer and meditation allows you to relax, unwind, and improve your overall personal life. Then she defines prayer on page 35, and I love this because I've never really heard it said like this before. We hear about prayer and meditation, and I think sometimes they get like confused as to being the same thing. And so I love that she put this definition in there. Prayer is simply talking to God. Meditation is listening for God. So you have to do both. You can't just constantly talk to God. You have to wait and ask, when you're asking him for things, you have to wait and listen and figure out, okay, what does he want from me? If you're praying specifically like, God, show me what you want for me, you have to pause. You have to give yourself that time to meditate, whether it's during your prayer time or later on in the day. Just say, hey, God, like, show me what your will is for me. Like, what do you want me to do in this scenario? Or how can I glorify you in this scenario? And listen for him. And it might mean sitting in silent or going for a walk and just letting yourself be free of all the distractions around you. But you have to do both. You have to pray, you have to meditate. So number 2 is to read. One major key, K-E-Y, to success is keep educating yourself. I've never actually heard that like definition, but I thought that was so cool. Keep educating yourself is a great way to like remember that. You don't grow anymore if you don't learn anymore. We have to shift our mindset into believing this is a way of life, not just a period. Number 3, listen to teachings. This can be incorporated into your current routine just by finding the little pockets of time you already have and pressing play. So we all carry our smartphones on us, okay? We're not like carrying around boom boxes or like Walkmans with CDs in them. Like we have our phones and we have access to so many resources. I personally have found podcasts being a really great thing for me, and I'll just add them to like my podcast list. And then when I get time, whether I'm cooking or I'm cleaning the house or putting the kids down for bed, whatever it is, I can put my headphones in, and those times that I'd just be doing nothing, I can now listen to these like speakings and these personal development things. So I found that was like a really great thing to start incorporating, because we have that time where we're just sitting doing nothing, and we can put our headphones in, or we can have our phone like on loud next to us, and we can just listen. Number 4, they write. Writing out your goals and dreams I've never done that before, but it makes so much sense because you're seeing what you want. You are seeing where you're going and where you're heading and what your goals are and your dreams are, and you're reading them. It's not just believing it in your head. Now you can actually look back and say, okay, last year I wrote this down. It's like writing out your New Year's resolutions. I felt like I'd do that or I'd say, oh, I'm going to write out my New Year's resolutions. I never write them out. And then I couldn't even remember at the end of the year, what did I say I wanted to do this year? Did I actually accomplish it? Probably not, because I don't even know what they were by the time 12 months have passed. So get really specific when you write them out. Don't just say, I want a new job. Well, what new job? What is your dream job? Where do you want to see yourself? And get really specific. Write it out somewhere that you won't lose it. Like for me, I can't put it in my phone because I will never reference it back. So I got a journal. I have like notebooks that people gift me that were just sitting on my bookshelf, never getting used. And so I opened it up and I wrote them out. And each day I'll write something in my journal, whether I'm like reading a book and I find a really great motivational quote, I'll put it in there, but then I can look back at it, and I have that journal with me all the time. It's sitting on the table where I sit and help Julie out with school, so I can pick it up and look at it and say, oh wow, yeah, I did say I wanted to do this, and then I could work towards it. And then the last one is exercise. Exercising consistently helps significantly, as the author puts it, and is key to mental and physical health. And I will say that I have noticed this in the last 5 years when I started working out consistently. I would take breaks for a year, and then I felt like my mental clarity and my like physical, mental, like all of that, my energy was all affected when I stopped. And now, like even getting back to it, it's funny to see that, like, why did I ever stop? Why did I stop doing this? Because I feel so much better. I have so much more energy, and I can think more clearly when I exercise and when I'm putting my health and my mental and physical health as a priority. It says physical exercise is even linked to reducing stress and like increasing your memory, which I didn't actually know that, but I'm going to take it as word because she's done her research. And so I think that's so neat that it's linked with that. Oh, and even improving sleep is on here. So anyway, those were the 5 habits, the 5 of them. Pray and meditate, read, listen to teachings, write things out, and then exercise. And so this is just a little gloss over of what she's going to be covering in the next 5 chapters. So if we just sum it up, stop rolling over and hitting snooze and sleeping in. Stop making excuses. Stop scrolling social media. Stop listening to fear. And start praying and meditating, reading, listening to podcasts and trainings, writing and reviewing your goals and dreams, and exercising. And all of those things are hard to do if you do them all together. Like looking at the list and saying, oh, I have to do all of these things. Maybe just start with 1 or start with 2 and say, like, I can do this. Like, part of your mindset is shifting that you can't do something, and you can, and you will find a way, in speaking the positive truths into yourself that you can do it. So I hope this was enlightening. I hope it was encouraging. I love this book study. I love all the things that she teaches in it because it really is just a solid foundation for building up yourself for success in the future. And I really look forward to like continuing doing the book study and sharing the next couple of chapters. So I will see you next week with chapter 3.